Well, hello. How's everyone doing? Guess who's back? Back again. I'm wondering if I'm going to see myself. There I am. There I am. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Readings with Rebecca after almost, actually more than a month's hiatus. I'd like to deeply apologize for the month away. For lack of a better word, shit's been cray-cray. I fell back at the end of June and messed up my paws pretty good, but now all I have is the scars. I continue to reside in Seattle looking after a friend that's dealing with some stuff. And so it has just been non-stop. The hits just keep on coming. But this week we are back. We are bad. I'm a hare and this shit's mad. God, that was awful. I should throw that back where I put it. But anyway, am I too loud? For once, am I too loud? Should I turn this thing down? One thing I've never been accused of is being too loud. And if you believe that, I've got a bridge to sell you. Yes, indeed. Already getting into the water breaks today. Yes, indeed. Part 2. Let's see. I am going to need to be able to control my stream. So where are you, OBS? There's the OBS. I'm going to make you smaller. And I'm going to make this smaller. We do not have a lot of time today. Because we've got hair-raising games immediately following. In about an hour. Because run, bunny, run! I'm really trying to find a balance with all of this, especially while I'm up here in Seattle. Every other week I am heading back home for an afternoon or a day to see my husband and my other partner, Moot. And so, you know, by spacing this out every other week, it makes sure that I get that time down there. But also, like the days when I am up here and I'm doing the streaming and all that other fun stuff, it's just bam, 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 go, 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 go. So, it's really important to me, not to get too sentimental on you guys, that I am here to connect with you. My fans, my people, you guys really make the difference. And like I said in earlier streams, you guys have really been there to like stand up for me and support me. And you know, you write me very nice reviews and you all think I'm pretty great. So I mean, it's great for the ego. But also, you're all just awesome people, and I get so much inspiration from just getting to like hang out here, you know, talk with you. I love our Patreon chat on Discord. As quiet as it is, because I am, believe it or not, an introverted character that is often a victim of her own introversion. In that respect, my goodness, I am just pegging out those mic levels. I'm going to back this down just a little. Is that a little better, guys? Am I easier on the ears? Can't do anything about being easier on the eyes, but you know, take what you can get, huh? Self-effacing humor. Or is it? But anyway, thank you guys for your patience. I don't know either. That's really bizarre. I mean, like, I would almost call that a Linux level error because, you know, Linux does weird things, but I've never had that problem. By the way, I'm looking over here because you guys are over here. I've got a little laptop monitor and then a bigger monitor. This is probably the one thing that I miss the most, is my 3-monitor setup, because it makes it a lot easier to like manage real estate when I've got the stream manager and the chat window and the book and the stuff. But anyway, ramble. Wouldn't be readings with Rebecca without a rant, huh? I miss this. I love you guys. I'm healing up. I'm in Seattle. Ah! Been a hell of a summer. I was supposed to be getting into Washington now on the Pacific Crest Trail. That's not to, like, go, oh, or anything like that. It's just, I've been thinking about that a lot because I spent so much time training and working for that particular goal, and I knew where I was going to be because of my trip plan and all of that on certain days and in certain moments and all of that. And so not being there, every now and then it pops up. Finley, it's such a joy that you are here, that you are back. I know that you're like a Washington resident. I know that you're like somewhat close to my current location. So like, maybe we should hang out. That would be like fun. Like, ever have lunch with your favorite author? My goodness, now that's presumptuous, isn't it? But anyway, that might not have sounded like the best thing in the world. I apologize. Oh dear. I'm just like, I'm trying to be friendly. But yeah, it was bad timing, but I'm convinced that if they open up the permit process for 2021, which we don't know if they're going to at the moment, that I'll be out there in March or April of next year. And if the Pacific Crest Trail doesn't happen for me next year, a something trail somewhere will be happening for me somewhere. Either the Appalachian Trail, the Continental Divide Trail, something like that. I will be doing a long distance trail next year, maybe multiple ones, because technically a long distance trail is anything over 400 miles. And like 400 miles is like, God, this is going to sound weird. It's not that much. Zach Davis over at the Trek says that through hikers are people best defined as those who have a unusual definition of the term walking distance. But the Colorado and the Arizona Trail are both smaller, sub 1,000 mile through hiking trails. That remains an option. There's also the Great Divide Trail up in Canada. I've actually also looked at doing stuff like the Aurora down in New Zealand. Like, that would take a load of bread to capitalize, let me tell you, but I could do it in the off season. That's the thing, because when it's winter up here and everything is closed and frozen, and I'm over here hugging a heater, and down in New Zealand it is spring and summer and warm, and that's also because it's a jungle out there in parts of it, and oh my God, apparently people that have hiked both have said that the Pacific Crest Trail is amateur night compared to the Aurora down in New Zealand. So that's just like, holy crap, because the Pacific Crest Trail is no freaking joke. Like I said, something like 60% of the people that start off down there in Campo get off before they get to the terminus. So to say that the Aurora is harder by orders of magnitude is saying something. But you are not here. to listen to me ramble incessantly, or maybe you are, about hiking and my life and other matters, you are here for Readings with Rebecca, presumably. And so, let's get into it, shall we? Where we last left off, Bradley made a noble sacrifice. A very noble sacrifice. And we talked a little bit about idealism and extremism and how extremism warps and tears and hurts. Well, now we're picking back up with the aftermath. There will be consequences. There will be fallout for what has just occurred. Both for our fuzzy protagonist, as well as those that would want to stop her. And only time will tell if the United Earth Alliance will survive such torsion. How is that for an intro? But without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? Click. Aha. Also, real quick, Dance with the Dead t-shirt. Yay. My favorite band. Anyway, don't know why I wanted to tell you that, but Dance with the Dead t-shirt. Rad. I was gonna... Rad. Yes. Yes. Okay. Chapter 18. We reconvened in the Admiral's quarters the next morning. The Admiral looked grave. His eyes darkened with concern. As we took our seats, he spoke. This has me very worried. Yeah, think? Originally, we thought your beating was just antimorphic sentiment fanned into rage by your impromptu tour of the ship, or your sudden appearance on the news, but now we know something greater is going on. The Admiral shifted in his seat, then continued. Commander Stevens, I'm afraid our worst fears are being confirmed. You are not to leave her side for the remainder of this mission. Charlie just nodded. The Admiral turned to me. Snow, I know you haven't liked this situation from the beginning, but now I'm afraid we brought you into a hornet's nest, little lady. The late Major had connections back to Central Command. This reeks of a wider conspiracy, and I don't know if this ship is a safe place for you, even with Charlie now. I can understand your concerns, Charlie said, but before we start getting hasty, I'd like to take her and check his quarters. It's still early. Chances are they haven't been touched. Under normal circumstances, I'd object, but we have to find information, and the more time we waste here, the more we run the risk of losing everything. The Admiral seemed to have aged 20 years from the first time I had seen him, and he was not a young man then. Regardless of what we find, we're putting you off ship tomorrow, but we're going to have to make it till then. The Admiral nodded wearily. How? Charlie asked, puzzled. The only thing we have that can handle that kind of operation is the LRC, and you're going to need it to get back to Central Command after the drop-off. I'll be taking the Rome back to port after the drop-off. Her flagstaff have a lot of questions to answer, the Admiral explained. Besides, it's already been modified to handle her needs, or at least most of them. I think we can manage to move her food. Are you certain, Admiral? Charlie pressed. It might not be the safest for you here either. Oh, shut it, boy. I have a lot of enemies, but I don't think any of them are lunatic enough to kill an Admiral. Well then, orders received. Charlie squared his shoulders, clearly not satisfied, but knowing when to leave well enough alone. When do we leave? 15 hours tomorrow. The Knight Commander is just a few years out of the Academy, has less connection to the old fleet. The Admiral glanced at me before continuing, and I happen to know that his sister is a cat. I've known the family for years. They're good people. I got the word from UEA not half an hour ago on a secure channel. When shift change occurs tomorrow, we will use our Black Ops protocol to keep you off radar till you're safely out the door. Alright, Admiral, and thank you, but for now, while we are here, let's do some investigating, Charlie said. The Admiral himself was armed with a pistol that looked like it had served as long as he had. It was well worn but cared for. A gleaming nickel slide shone like silver, and its occasional scratch or pockmark gave it the air of an old friend. We were making a beeline for the Major's quarters, hoping to find the answers we sought. His quarters were typically military. That was my first thought. Just after the doors opened, after the Admiral sent the security detail guarding it away for half an hour, its accoutrements were Spartan, and it smelled like the Major. Unbidden, an image came to my mind of the Major reaching for the detonator as the door closed. I tried to push it away, but it just kept getting louder and more vivid in my brain. Like a singularity in my mind, it pulled my awareness and compressed it down until there was only that moment. My chest hurt, and my paws tingled with the need for a run. Captain Dawkins, are you okay? I heard the voice of the Admiral as if he was 1,000 feet away. Stevens, just what the hell is going on? I faintly heard the Admiral say. Snow? Are you all right? Sir, it looks like she's locked into some kind of panic attack, Charlie said as he reached out and gently stroked me from ears to tail. Easy there. Easy. My world savagely snapped back to normal awareness, and I leaped up in the air with a shout. No, goddammit, get away! Get the fuck away! Charlie recoiled and looked wounded as I pushed myself backwards into the alien quarters, stinking with the predator's scent, just panting. It's okay, Snow. Focus. We're all friends here. Calm down. Deep breaths, Charlie said, but keeping his distance. I think I'm okay now, I said, taking deep panic gasps. Well, what happened? The Admiral asked, sounding deeply concerned. I'm not sure. It felt like the other night when I passed out at the podium, but instead I was reliving the moments up to the detonation. Something about the scent of this place seemed to trigger me, I replied, sounding more sure of myself than I was. But are you okay now? Do you need a doctor? The Admiral queried. I don't think so. He told me I was prone to anxiety, but this is a whole new ball game. Let me know if it becomes a problem, the Admiral said, speaking both to me and Charlie. I do think I'm okay now. Would it be okay if I help search around? As long as you are certain it won't throw you in... As long as you are certain it won't throw you into another attack. Certainly, the Admiral replied. It felt like raiding the home of a ghost. Everything was in perfect order. Uniforms folded, toiletries set out just so on the sink. All were remnants of a life that waited for a master who would never return. There were no posters on the wall, nothing to even hint at the twisted nature of his ideas or of his hate for anything non-human. I checked drawers and found more and more of the same. One held medals for distinguished service, others held photos of his family. I was searching his nightstand when I found his Bible. His scent was all over it. It had been with him for years, the worn leather bore an inscription that said Innocent Newman. Gently running a paw over the cracked gold lettering, it truly felt like a holy thing. I had found his treasure. Using my stubby forepaws, I opened it gently and felt like an intruder. The pages were well worn and strewn with bits of paper, making notes about a particular verse or chapter. I had almost given up hope of finding anything of use when a heavyweight piece of paper fell to the ground, along with some kind of challenge coin. Picking up the challenge coin first, I examined it and called Charlie over. It looked similar to what some service members received upon completing basic, but a quick glance showed it was not from any branch of the service. It was silver, with Earth in the background and a raised fist in the foreground holding a sword. It bore an inscription around the coin that read, Paladins of Earth, many faiths, one truth. Charlie thumbed over the coin while I looked at the paper. I took it in my paws and gently unfolded it. This was new. Newer than anything I had seen thus far. It was a pricey stationery, the kind with a watermark logo when you hold it up to the light. On it was a printed note, one that made my fur stand and my skin feel chilled. It read, Confirmed, Mendian ambassador to board your planet, planet Cynthia, confirmed, morphic snowshoe hair, 3 feet 5 inches tall, 60 pounds, orders terminate quietly. So ordered. Earth first. Alpha Victor, Bravo Bravo, Sigma 8, Omega, 113524. I blinked and looked up at Charlie. What does that mean? Well, the coin is obviously some kind of organization he's a part of. The symbol on the front is similar to Earth First, which is an anti-morphic, anti-Mendian political group. That could be bad because rumors are they do have a terrorist wing, he said, moving over to the Admiral. Sir, I think we found his marching orders and a possible connection to Earth First, but I have never seen anything like this before, Charlie said. I could almost hear his heart beating. Damn, the Admiral spat. This just confirms it. This had to come from higher up in the command structure. This has gone from a simple assault to a full-blown conspiracy. So what does the gibberish mean? Is that some kind of code? I asked, motioning towards the stationery. I suspect that it's an authenticator. It only makes this worse. Whoever is doing this probably has a background in intelligence. At least enough of one to know to confirm a message with an authenticator code. Anything without that signature would immediately make the Major think he was walking into a trap, the Admiral said. So this wasn't just some group of rogue thugs. It's bigger. It goes all the way up the chain, I replied, sounding more scared than I wanted to let on. I'm afraid so, and we have to let the UEA know of this immediately. Charlie, have you managed to crack his computer yet? I'm just about there, sir. We have basic access, but his encryption is better than I expected. My curiosity got the better of me. I found myself asking, how does the Lieutenant Commander from the Diplomatic Corps know how to break encryption? He looked at me and gave a laugh. She's a sharp one. No wonder the Mendians want her. It's no secret. These are just the spoils of a misspent youth and a career that originally started as an electronics warfare officer, Charlie replied, grinning. He was obviously pleased that he had surprised me. You're just full of them. We're going to have to talk about that. Do we need to have a discussion about leaving my terminal on around you? I asked, goading him on. Else no, all you use it for is to read, he laughed. You don't have enough dirt to make it interesting. Enough posturing. Are you going to get access or not? The Admiral looked tensed, tired, and impatient. Just a few more minutes and... We're in! He shouted triumphantly, obviously proud of himself. The Major's encrypted drive held the litany of sins his quarters so expertly hid. There were anti-morphic websites bookmarked, hate literature, all manner of nasty things. But what was worse were the emails. It was part of a confidential and very well protected mailing list. It utilized a special program that used a secure connection. Charlie attempted to explain it to me, but somehow the way it was designed made it impossible to trace where the messages were coming from. But it read like a horror novel. It was used to pass messages of success or failure of missions, but also it had a section that had more hateful propaganda. But the worst was the testimonial sections. People reporting how good it felt to kill or maim. I noticed a post that detailed my attack. The poster was bragging about how satisfying it was to hear my bones break and my screams of pain. I winced and pushed myself away when I noticed there was a message in reply. It was marked as read. I asked Charlie to access it, and it bore a simple message. They may be on to you. Nothing I can do. Be prepared. Someone, somewhere, knew that Charlie was investigating and had tipped off the Major. That was why he had the bomb. That was why he was so confident. He knew he would leave that room vindicated. Or dead. I think we've seen enough. Image the drive and leave the rest to me, the Admiral said. I need to have a talk with the captain. Sir, that might not be advisable. The captain already stands relieved, and any further questioning may just cause more problems here. He was the only one who knew anything about my investigation, and he does have friends. We have to assume that there may be a hostile element within the UEA with access even you don't have. I'm afraid you're right, son, the Admiral said, looking deflated and careworn and sad. All this talk just makes me happy we're putting you guys off ship. A crisis of loyalty on a fleet ship is about as bad as it comes. As of right now, you're both on full black. I want you two secured in your quarters until launch. Charlie, if anyone shows up who has not been vetted by you or me, assume they are hostile. We simply don't know who we can count on anymore. Understood, sir. Now before you two leave, I want you to meet the Knight Commander. After that, we're on to full security protocols. Let's adjourn to my quarters. The Knight Commander looked tired and quite young for his rank. He was relatively short for a human, about 5'4", with black hair and dark brown eyes. Meeting me, he smiled and spoke. So you're the rabbit the Admiral told me about. I'm Jim Saito. Man, you went farther than my sister. She's more of a blend. But you don't even look human, he said, smiling down at me. Hair, I corrected him, looking up a bit indignantly. Yeah, a lot of the Morphics go for a more blended look. It's all personal preference, I suppose. Yeah, but that doesn't help her any. She's had such a hard time since her shift. It's bad back on Earth. She can't find a job. I don't understand that bit. She's more than capable. I'm sure she is. It's just that people aren't capable of understanding that, sadly enough. Tell me, though, what do you think about it? Her choice, he shrugged. My parents raised me to tolerate others, and besides, I always thought it was kind of cool being able to be whatever you want. You never had any of this fundamentalist Earth-first garbage running around my house. Do you know she's lost friends? Clinics? They were bombed. And for what? Really? For what? I know. I'm sure you know about Bradley, too. I felt a pang go through me as I said the name. I just don't get it. I don't understand why the ideology is worth lives. I heard that. I knew him, not well or anything, but he sometimes did some of the message decryption for third shift. Really quiet, kind of a mousy, keep-to-yourself type. I would have smiled if I could. You'd have probably loved to hear that. He was a morphic. But he was on his way to being a mouse. Jim gave out a hearty laugh and smiled. His eyes brightened and the tiredness I saw faded some. Is that so? It would have fit him. Really, it would have. Bradley the mouse. Wish I'd gotten to go know the guy more. Yeah, you'd have liked him. You two get going. Jim, thanks for stopping by. Admiral nodded to the young commander. You two stay alive now. That's an order. Chapter. So, we've got hair-raising games coming up really soon. About half an hour. So unfortunately, it's probably a good thing to cut it there for a day. It's also a really solid stopping point because the roller coaster really begins starting with chapter 19. And so our next reading, which will be a week from next week, it will be earlier. It will be probably around noon. And that way we can have like about a solid 2 hours to really get in and dig into it. Yeah. Exile's Return. And I just wanted a chance to talk to you guys for a few minutes about what we've covered. I've often said that if I'm lucky, Exile's Return will be the roughest thing I've ever published. It's my first work. Going through it is humbling. I see the flaws. But I also see that it is a diamond in the rough, I feel. I mean, like, that sounds so prideful, but it's really exciting to consider that this is where it all began. And so going back over it is a special kind of joy for me. But also, going through Exiles right now feels very prescient. Because we are in a time where extreme ideologies are really tearing at the fabric of our society, aren't we? We're going through a time where there's a lot of tension and a lot of disruption. And you know, it's a good thing to be passionate. It is a good thing to want to change the world for the better and to advocate and to get out there. But it's also, I think, important to remember that people are important. How we use our words, how we use our actions are important. It gets so easy to say that the ends justify the means until you find yourself in territory you never wanted to end up in yourself. And I wonder if that's not the way that it started for the Major. He was scared, and he was offended by a lot of the things that he saw going on around him, and he found an outlet for that anger. And I'm certain that he wasn't, capping Morphix or strapping bombs to people's chests overnight. It was a gradual walk into the darkness for him. He couldn't see another way. It's very rare for someone to instantly fall to that kind of darkness. It's a series of choices. But at the end of that road lies a lot of pain. And not just for the person that has walked it. And I think that's also important to remember. So yeah, I definitely feel like Exiles is very prescient right now. The other thing is Bradley. He never saw himself as brave. He never saw himself as a hero. He is very committed to his quiet, nerdy, little introverted life. But when push came to shove, he followed the heart of his values to their conclusions too. And that's why Bradley's a hero. I think in some ways Bradley is one of the most important side characters in the entire Farthest Star universe. Because without Bradley and his heroism, we wouldn't have a story. we wouldn't be moving forward in the same way. Bradley, whether he knew it or not, and he didn't. He was just doing what he thought was right, but when Bradley did that, he ensured that there would be a future for the Morphics, and for the Mendians, and for tolerance and understanding to have a chance. And that's pretty incredible. One person's sacrifice affected millions of lives. He never knew it. He was just doing what he thought was right. So there you have it. Be excellent to one another. Listen more. Judge less. Love those that you agree with, and try to love those that you disagree with. Or at least try to understand where they're coming from. We never know when we'll get the chance to be heroes. But it is my hope that when you get the chance to be a hero, it's not like Bradley. Yeah, potentially billions. My IT department has shown up. Hello, my love. Hello, my joy. A kind word in the darkest moment of a person's life can make you a hero. It doesn't all have to be noble sacrifice. Sometimes it's just doing the hard work of listening to other people. It is exactly that easy and that hard. Speaking of shiny and groovy souls, you would know Miss Robinson. So yeah, guys. Are you enjoying the story? What do you see? Got a couple minutes before I have to shut her down and start setting up for the next stream in the row. But next up is Ori and the Will-o'-the-Wisps and the Nutter Bunner Squad. Alright, guys. I'm going to start to shut things down here. It's been a real joy to get back with you guys, do some reading, do some talking, do some connecting. Finley, if you'll go back through the links, or if you need the links, let me know. I'll make sure to get them to you. Each one of these is recorded. So anybody that is missing a link or has missed out on some episodes of Readings with Rebecca, just reach out to me on Twitter, Patreon, Facebook, Telegram if we talk there, Discord if we talk there, and I will make sure that you have all the links and nothing but the links. So help me the gods. Remember twitch.tv/trailhair in about 20 minutes. Alright guys, this was just kind of getting our paws wet as we get back into it here. But the next one, I promise, will be a much longer session where we will finally begin to deal with the fallout and the consequences of this now exposed secret society operating at the highest tiers of the Earth military. And until the next time, onward towards the farthest star,